or Lyra, but one or the other, they're going to take them and ban.
So they go for the Lyra. You want them to ban the Grace right here, because
yeah,
otherwise
absolutely.
you're going to give the exact same
Not that
composition
you
that we
want them
saw
to,
earlier.
they have to.
Yeah.
They have to ban Grace here, otherwise they are asking for trouble. Unless they plan on doing a double healer composition, that's the only way that this could work out for Qlash.
We did see a little bit of weapon power Grace in EU last patch. So
Please don't
I mean,
remind me.
I'm sorry to bring it up, but that is a legitimate possibility.
It worked though. It depends
did
on how
work.
the comp is executed. Honestly, it's how you play your comp is matters more versus what is meta or not. So Kesha will be taken away, and then that's going to leave Grace open. Qlash will not pick Grace because Grace and Lyra just don't have any synergy. So that means most likely they're going to pick their laner like a potential Vox maybe, or even potentially like a mage if they want, but it's a little risky until Idris because they can just play weapon power and die. Oh, and that's risky right there because Idris can now play weapon power and just dive onto that Scarf.
Especially with the
With
Grace.
the Grace.
Yeah, this is
Exactly.
This should be a very easy Grace pickup for Dynasty. Just run that duo and just dive this Scarf, kill him before he gets his stacks built up at all. This is looking like it should be a very strong draft for Dynasty.
Yeah, it certainly is. I just want to point something out right there. You can see Tricky on the far left of the stage. He's sitting in a position that, is that comfortable? Like, that doesn't look like that could possibly be comfortable at this point. But
Whatever floats his boat.
yeah, whatever gets you going. But the Grace is going to be the lock-in here alongside that Idris. How do you expect them to finish out this composition?
Yeah, I think against the Lyra, if you're going to do a weapon, you can go CP Idris too and even go like a Grumpjaw or Glaive since Crow is banned. It opens up so many
I don't think
possibilities
you do Grumpjaw
now.
into a Scarf though. That was always the counter. Scarf counters Grumpjaw because it's just stripping away those living armor stacks. So Grumpjaw not likely, but something like Glaive could come out.
Yeah, Glaive would look really good here. Grumpjaw would still work, just executing the combination. And basically, because Lyra is not a good PO, you have to time the bulwark properly, and it's on such a high cooldown. So you bait that bulwark out, you then free to completely dive onto the Scarf because she can't peel that well. So I think out of the options that they have, they're going for a CP Taka, it looks like.
Yeah, they want to have those mortal wounds easily applied. You got to figure that's the reasoning behind the Taka. Apply the mortal wounds just to make sure that Lyra cannot heal this Scarf up and that Idris can get those assassinations off.
The really sad thing here for Qlash is you'd love to see them go for a Rhyme here. For the triple melee, right? You're going to be able to do incredible work, but you already have the CP laner locked in, or CP jungle if you take Scarf in the jungle either. But either way, the CP is already locked in.
They're probably going to go with potentially Glaive or Vox here. Glaive would not be good into a Grace because he would be just, Taka and Idris can just focus whoever the carry they pick. So Vox may be a potential pick here and they're going to jungle the Scarf, I would say. But Scarf's going to have a really hard time in the jungle against a Grace and Taka. Lyra does not win against Grace early game, and Taka, when he has 5 stacks, does a lot of extra damage and speed movement that can just follow up and just kill the Scarf in the early game and eat up the jungle.
Yeah, the idea here for Qlash is to just outrange Dynasty and try and keep them at arm's length, but there's so much dive on the side of Dynasty.
Yeah,
that
too many
it's
gap
much
closers.
easier said than done to try and keep them at bay. Dynasty has a very strong draft with this triple melee and should be able to get onto this backline pretty consistently.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether they can get onto that backline and also how Qlash is going to deal with this situation, right? Where you've got the Vox and the Scarf, who are both very, very vulnerable to being dived on. Whether or not they're going to be able to kite this one out and whether they can be effective. You know, we saw Massilis on the Vox last game doing a great job of kiting for a while, but it only works for so long when you've got to protect yourself.
Yeah, it can be very difficult to keep yourself alive, especially if Lyra can only do so much. She can provide the bulwark, but as CJ mentioned, it's a very long cooldown. If it gets baited out at all, then you're just kind of running for the hills until you have your cooldowns available again. Scarf's going to be trying to get those Spitfires off to keep people at bay. The Frostburn is going to be extremely important for him, which is going to delay the Broken Myth a little bit longer than usual, perhaps. And so it's going to be a very difficult composition for Qlash.
Yeah, Vox and Scarf don't have the highest base health too, so along with Taka's burst and CP Idris with his Chakram double hit and the amplification when he does his Shroud Step, he has a 40% or so weapon amp damage, 45% I believe, and that's a lot of burst coming out. On top of Grace as well, she does actually decent damage from her Benediction, so this is going to be a really, really tough game. The Lyra has to basically bulwark perfectly, because you can cancel a Taka Exretsu if you can bulwark right on time. You can actually cancel it. So
That's a
if
really
they can do
tough
that, then
timing.
maybe they have
That's
a chance.
a really
I was
tough
gonna say,
timing.
like, I will give a standing ovation to Hell's Devil if he can pull that one off. We'll have to see as it's time to jump on into the second game, or third game, sorry, of this series. Dynasty with momentum, but Qlash, they're not looking to go out without a fight. Let's pass it over to our casters once more.
Indeed, getting ready for the third game here, and very fun drafts on both sides, Denominate. A lot of gap closing ability for Dynasty. I actually really like it.
I really do too, and you know, Scarf has been a pick for the side of Qlash that has been a really strong pick for them.
Yeah.
But you know, as the analyst talked about it, that Idris Grace combination, able to get to that back line, able to dive very heavily. It's gonna be interesting to see. It's gonna come down to the execution of Dynasty.
It really will be. And now they talked about Bright Bulwark as an important tool. Timing, incredibly important. If that gets baited out and Hell's Devil uses that too early, they can just jump onto the Scarf. I'm really curious to see how this plays out here. Now early on, Mowgli making a deep run into Qlash's jungle. He might be able to steal the backs here. HF guy able to secure the majority of it. Mowgli gets one of the backs, so that's actually a really nice pickup for him. Now he's deep in the opponent's jungle. Hell's Devil is gonna let loose a couple of those auto attacks to fly. Mowgli hanging around. Is he gonna get rooted up? The Benediction forward, that gap closing ability we talked about so many times before, and looks like Mowgli with that should get out of here. So Qlash pretty safe in their early rotation.
Yeah, but Dynasty was able to pick away one of those CS out of the back jungle, so, you know, Mowgli really making sure to use Grace to his advantage. Now, she's not as blessed as she once was. She did have some changes, a little bit weaker healing on that ultimate, the Divine Intervention.
Right.
Also, a slight nerf to her passive movement speed, you know, down from 3.7 to 3.5.
Down from infinity to...
Yeah, and Mercilli's now taking a lot of damage, but I think looking from game 1 to game 2, I think there's a distinct mechanical skill advantage here for Dynasty. You know, just off of how many of those From Hell's Hearts we saw Mowgli block,
Yeah.
and how many we saw get through onto Qlash.
I mean, I think that's where we would say that's one of the advantages for Dynasty. I mean, Mowgli, he is so well practiced at making those plays here on the stage. We would expect him to be landing those blocks.
I mean, 3-time champion for a reason, man. I mean, so.
Absolutely. I could have fired some shots there, but I'm not going to do it. Now, moving forward here in this game, HF guy, he's had a couple early minutes. Yeah, Mowgli, he was able to take one of his backs, but here he is, 2 minutes, level 3. This is where Scarf wants to be.
This is where Scarf wants to be, especially when his abilities are off of the cooldown, and we have that Spitfire and Goop coming now off. Rikumez is burning. This is an opportunity for HF guy. But doesn't look like they're going to take it. With that Goop was available, Humanist.
It looked like they were very hesitant now. HF guy moving forward, he didn't have vision, taking quite a bit of damage. Benediction's in, the root off the mark from the Elder Treant who wanted to fight there as well. Rico Mesa, though, has the move speed. HF guy feeling to go down, Titan over the top to finish him off. And first blood for Dynasty looking good. Kaku, he's on to the Hell's Devil. I don't think he wants to get under a turret just yet, but he does want to take away the backs, and it looks like he's going to get the Spirit Charge. Mowgli, is he going to get Hell's Devil? I thought he was going to pull off of that one. Sigil keeps Hell's Devil alive, but Mowgli looking to play games here.
Yeah, Mowgli rotating down in time to get the ambient gold off of that, and now Rukumeza's here on HF guy. Humanist.
HF guy, you're in a bad place, buddy. The Goop is trying to just stand around, dodge around. HF guy, he is down. Second kill for Dynasty, and all your jungle now belong to Dynasty. That's a rough place to be in.
It is a rough place to be in. Now, Taka should be able to take a little bit early of an edge over Scarf. Scarf does take a little bit of time to ramp up, but Taka's gonna fall off when Scarf is getting to that point that he's really online. It is gonna come down to the amount of execution that Dynasty can pull off together. And, you know, this will likely be a Crystal Taka. If they're not able to execute it with the weapon Idris and the Taka, they could lose out on a fight easily. Tricky
is down. Qlash coming through as a unit, as a team. And a little bit of taunt coming out there. HF guy having a good time, but a nice job by Qlash.
Yeah, really nice job by Qlash. Tricky, you know, takes the quick way back to the shop. You know, picks up that poison shiv, the efficiency. He didn't have to walk, he didn't have to port. Boots are used to get him back into lane here. And now we're working into the Storm Crown on Rukumeza. That's going to give him a lot of jungle clear to really keep up with what HF guy is going to be able to do here on the Scarf. Not quite as fast, but when he does get those invades, he's going to be able to clean out that jungle a lot easier. And that's the key thing on this Taka.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen so much Taka as of recent. It's really nice to see it here, and I was kind of curious, like, how is he going to actually build? And it sounds like you're pretty much on board with the direction he's taking.
Yeah, he'll very likely go, so he does have the Storm Crown now complete. He'll very likely go into some Crystal now, just look for that raw burst. The Storm Crown will help him with the basic attacks to follow up, as well as give him additional cooldowns. And that's really the key thing here, is he'll probably go to Aftershock next and really try to keep those cooldowns low, because that's Taka's real defense, is having that Kaku available, having that Kaiten available, as well as the gap closers he has in his kit. Just, it can make him a huge threat to mages.
And that's where we're going to see him X-Retsu in, Kaiten over the top, Kaku out, wait for those cooldowns and just rinse and repeat. So it's going to be incredibly important for Hell's Devil to have that Bright Bulwark up and running now. This is going to be Rikumeza sneaking into Qlash's jungle. Well, Qlash as Gray looking to apply pressure up in the lane. Now, they do have a nice little poke comp, which could apply some pressure onto the turret. They're actually getting a bit of chip damage, but they are losing their jungle, and I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, I mean, we look over at Rikumeza, 34 CS right now. And over to HF Guy, we're sitting at 19. They are getting good lane aggression down here, Humans, like you said.
I mean, if they can get a kill, if they can get the turret, this could definitely be worth it. They force the fountain out. Mowgli's there, gives a little bit of a holy shield to him and his allies so he can be the front side of that fight for his team. It does force Qlash back. If Qlash move into the jungle now, they're going to realize that it's been cleared out. It would be pretty unfortunate for them at this point.
Yeah, it absolutely would be, but Tricky with this poison shift now in lane is going to be able to sustain a lot easier than he had in the early game. HF Guy is now rotating up at Rikumeza. Ooh, who did that one go over to?
HF Guy got it. HF Guy got it.
Is going to clear that one out with a good timed Spitfire and Goop. So overall, you know, we're sitting close to a 2,000 gold advantage for Dynasty. Rikumeza's really been aggressive with his rotations. And overall, Dynasty has an opportunity here where they can push this early game advantage and really run away with it, with Scarf getting so far behind.
Yeah, Scarf really starting to fall behind now. As we look at this denominate, what do you see as like the big power spikes across the board for both of these teams that could potentially like change the momentum of this game?
Well, the weapon Idris is really, he really excels in this mid-game. You know, the part that we're getting here to, 6-7 minutes, he's working into his second item. That's really where Tricky is going to start to be that really deadly threat for Mercillies. And Rikumeza, as he completes the Aftershock, he's going to provide a lot of burst for his team, and now he's coming up right now.
Oh, even with an infusion, X-Retsu, the Kite, you see, look, I mean, look at that 75-80% of his health, even maybe more than that, taking HF Guy so low. That was crazy.
But the downside to that is if that X-Retsu comes in and a Bright Bullet comes down, Taka's going to be locked in a very deadly situation. And now it's Qlash looking to put on a little bit of aggression of their own.
But there's 3 from Dynasty here. With that X-Retsu, it should cancel off any aggression. It looks like both teams are just going to go their separate ways at this point. Now, to your point, I think talking about the Bright Bulwarks and X-Retsus, actually jumping. Hell's Devil, he didn't block all of those from Hell's Hearts previously. So I don't know if I have the faith that he can drop that perfect Bright Bulwark.
Well, the perfect Bright Bulwark is you drop it. Ooh.
Rikumeza in, he's very deep, using Kaku immediately. They're on Mercedes trying to kite back. Wow, they blew him up incredibly fast. Tricky really starting to stack up some damage, has unlocked his Divergent Pass now, so that's a really big key here.
Yeah, it is. It allows him to get in and out of fights very, very quickly and cleanly. And, like I was getting to, is that Bright Bulwark, the perfect timing is before the X-Retsu comes out, and it actually can block that ability. Now, you can also use it once the X-Retsu is used and lock Taka then into that point. And that's when the Scarf is gonna, if he can hopefully find a Spitfire and prevent Taka from making an escape with that Kaku, that's kind of the most ideal situation, because then Taka is committed very deep in the fight. That's not so much a perfect timing as blocking the X-Retsu, but then Taka is also on the safe end of a bad situation.
Well, talk to me about, am I in outer space? Am I that, whoa-oh, Mercilli's taking a lot of damage, has to use boost, the Sigil is there. Hell's Devil to keep him alive. See the Rikumeza moving up, he's in the Kaku. He looks for an X-Retsu target, nice Bright Bulwark. And that, I mean, that's pretty much what you're talking about. You drop it, he doesn't want to get under the turret right there, but Mercilli's was in danger.
Yeah, absolutely, and that one was used to actually prevent the X-Retsu from coming out at all. It can be used to completely cancel the ability, which will put it on cooldown, which is that perfect timing. Which we were talking, we're not sure if Qlash could do it, but Tricky!
A lot of damage, but a divine intervention keeps him in fighting shape. Mowgli's still holding the fountain. I mean, that was incredibly good. You see Qlash putting so much pressure, applying so much damage here.
Yeah, and actually that is Riku Meza soloing out the gold mine.
Mercedes gets the healing. Can he find the damage? Riku Meza dropping low. They're able to get one. They traded 1 for 1 now. The HF guy goes down as Tricky jumps in. Tricky dropping to a turret shot there. Hell's Devil and Mowgli. They'll have a little bit of a poke war here at the end of this fight. I doubt either of them end up going down.
Yeah, they shouldn't really be able to win out on a fight here on either one. That is a jungler and a carry down for both sides. But before that fight, Riku Meza was able to take that gold mine, increasing the gold lead. And as we get into this replay, we'll really start to see where the damage is able to trade very quickly. There's that gold mine take from Riku Meza, that Storm Crown coming into huge effect. Coming in here very, very low, able to get a lot of damage down, but the damage is returned as the fountain comes through on Mercedes, able to turn the fight around quickly. HF guy gets enough damage onto Tricky that the turret's gonna clean him up, and that's gonna leave us at just 2 for 2.
Mercedes, the gap closes and the damage stacking up. Can he stay alive? He ticks down. That damage coming through at the end, just enough to find the kill. And Spitfires will come out at HF guy, Hell's Devil as well, trying to hold down this turret as Dynasty, as 3 have an advantage. Benediction in deep. It looks like they want to go for the Scarf. Can they get it? X-Retsu in deep. Kiting over Hell's Devil. Dragon's Breath coming in at HF guy. The turret has aggro. Tricky taking a lot of damage. Shiver Strike in forward. He's trying to trade. Can they find the kill? Tricky's down. Qlash have found the kill. Dynasty getting too aggressive and getting punished for it.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Those turret shots in this mid game really ramp up quickly, and Tricky was a little bit on the wrong side of that damage. 1, 2, 3 takes him out, and that is a kill going over to Qlash. Very much still in this game. We have about a 4,000 gold lead for Dynasty.
Yeah.
But again, we've seen Dynasty in a position where it looks like they're going to win the game. It looks like they have everything in their power to do so. Qlash is one of those teams that will, if you doubt them, if you give them any inch, they will take it all from you.
I mean, mentality is such a big deal here. Just trying to stay tough, and I think it's such an important thing that a lot of people overlook. You're looking at talented players, yes, across the board. There's a lot of talent out here, but that mental toughness, be able to take a beating and come right back and bring it to your opponent is really a beautiful thing. Qlash showing that in spades here. Now, 3 players from each team up into the lane. Looks like we might have some aggression. We're gonna have another infusion on the Taka. He's looking for an engagement. Bright will work down. The huge damage. Tricky couldn't get on the target. They've turned it around here. Mercedes kiting backwards, gets the heal. Now it's Riku Meza on the run. Riku Meza probably goes down here. Divine Intervention keeps him alive over the top. They traded it. He gets 1 kill. Riku Meza, can he get out? No, he burns down HF guy. Drops the Spitfire. He wants Mowgli. He's in deep though. Mowgli, will he burn down? Mowgli should stay alive through here. The turret aggro came out on HF guy. He didn't want to deal with that. But with this, Hell's Devil and HF guy will be able to take this turret down. So a very big win here.
Yeah, an absolutely huge win here. And as we get ready to get into this replay, Mercedes went off. The Bright Bulwark came down right here. It did trap Tricky a little too far in. He wasn't able to get out. And there's no breaking point on this Vox yet, but he has gone the Sorrow Blade Poison Shiv route that gives him a lot of sustain.
Yeah.
We see Riku Meza come through here, but he's burning down, and HF guy is able to find it. They don't find Mowgli, but they find a turret, and that's a huge gold chunk coming back into the pockets now of Qlash. Again, you give them an inch, they will take the whole mile.
Yeah, they definitely will. Maybe a kilometer. We're talking about EU here. Now, we see the aggression coming out here of Dynasty flexing their muscles. They've got the Tri-Brush on lockdown here. Flares coming out from both teams, not wanting to be caught by surprise. And you can see that this is both teams realizing that each carry, each jungler has the ability to find kills here on the map. It's just a matter if they can find that proper engage. Now, they're both rotating here around Cracker Pit. Gold Miner having a little bit of fun, poking the Arcane Passage in. They're looking to defend their turret, but it looks like they are too late here. Dynasty's taking a turret, and they might want a little more. Holy Nova off the mark of the X-Retsu in. Kiting over the top. Can they find the kill? Yes, they can. Mercedes with the Dragon's Breath coming back from HF guy. He says, how about not? I don't think I actually want to get in there. HF guy gotta get back under his turret. They just blow him up. The Benediction, the X-Retsu, the Kite. There's too much damage. Tricky didn't even get in on that one. He was like, no, I have had enough of that. Now, Hell's Devil, he's gonna sit here and try to defend his turret, but Dynasty have just turned it up a couple notches here in the last, I mean, that was like 30 seconds of aggression, and they get whatever they want.
Yeah, that was a really good play that they capitalized on there. The Arcane Passage came through on Hell's Devil. That put HF guy and Mercedes in a really tough spot. It was used right on the turret, right in the face of where Dynasty Gaming was. They were hammering damage down on that turret. They, quickly cleaned it up, turned their aggression directly onto Mercedes, drop him, and then in a 2v3, they dive heavy onto HF guy and find a kill, and there's just nothing that Qlash is able to do about it once Mercillies is down. Scarf needs to get that third item complete before he's really able to take things over.
Well, we'll see. He's building probably into that Eve, would have to imagine, as his third eye moving forward. We'll see, though. HF guy trying to stay at range. Meza over the wall with the next Retsu. Akai, the bright bulwark is down as Wait For It comes out, silencing up the Graves here. Divine intervention on himself. Mowgli keeping himself alive. A great job thus far. It's Tricky getting guided backwards. HF guy doing his best to land these Spitfires to the goop. Now winds up for the Dragon's Breath. They'll roast Tricky. Now looking for more. Up on the top side, is able to use the Kaku to get out of harm's way. Meza being the sneaky little Taka that makes everybody so fearful when you get into your own solo queues there. And it looks like Mowgli will be able to get out as well. So Tricky, the only one going down here.
Yeah, Tricky the only one dropping, and that's really a huge opportunity for them because they forced so much damage onto Mowgli that he was forced to use his items and his abilities to save himself. And Mercillies now has that breaking point complete. He was ramping up on that fight into Tricky, who does not have a breaking point. So as the fight gets extended, that is almost always going to trade over into Mercillies' favor. He's going to use the mobility to his advantage. And now, 15 minutes in, this Kraken is on the board. We have a single turret advantage for Dynasty. Whoever wins this next fight could get a huge push here.
I mean, you talked about Dynasty, like, they need to apply pressure. Qlash is going to come online late game in a massive way. Do you feel like they have built up enough of an advantage at this point?
They have to find the clean execution. So in that fight that we saw the Arcane Passage come through, they found a lot of damage onto Mercillies early on in the fight, and it didn't allow him to ramp up because he got taken down so quickly. And that's what we have to see out of Dynasty here. If they allow HF guy to get those broken med stacks and Mercillies to get the breaking point, it's going to be bad for Dynasty. And here we go. We got a little bit of aggression back and forth here, Mist.
Mowgli just jumping in with that benediction, doing a good job. He's just in and out of these fights. I also really like that because it forces Qlash to kind of respond, in which they might get into a bad position. Crystal Sentry taken out by Dynasty. A great job. Now they move back towards the center of the map. They jump right back in. HF guy getting lit up. The Shimmer Strike for Tricky. He gets the Divine Intervention. He's able to take down the Scarf. Now looking for more. Mercillies goes down. A double kill for Tricky. Finding exactly what he wanted there. Hell's Devil should melt down. With it, how about an X-Ratsu for style points there?
And that is looking like a beautiful clean fight for Dynasty, taking a clean ace, a turret off the back. And that was just a little bit too far forward from HF guy. When Dynasty is allowed to collapse onto one target and focus their burst into one zone,
wow,
it's gonna result in a easy and free kill. And off the back of that, that's Dynasty Gaming just looking to close out the game.
They're gonna close, it looks like they're gonna close this one out. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see if they can do it right here. Qlash doing their best, but Dynasty coming through, finding the fight they needed here, in through the mid into the late game, and then moving forward, taking out those last couple turrets, and finding that Vein Crystal. Good stuff, high fives to their team. You can see